I have a list. Oh boy, do I have a list. So the Mustang needs to be refreshed. The car is broken. Several things were broken. I broke them on my last track day, as well as some wear and tear. There's also some negligence on my part, so I'm here to declare what I have done so that we can fix it, move on, and the car doesn't burn to the ground. And it was so much that I got a list that we're going to cover. Let us get through this list, get started. So first things first, the first thing that must happen is the differential. I'm going to go in and, let's see where it is. So I'm going to go in and pull off the yoke, okay? So I am going to just kind of slip this on. It's not going to get like legitimately installed, but I'm going to go ahead and put this yoke, which is a 3150 U-joint yoke. I'm going to put this onto the differential before I remove it. And we're going to double check if the measurement for the drive shaft is still good with the updated 3150 U-joint that we're going to be upgrading for the drive shaft. So when I pull the differential, it's, you know, there's a little bit of damage that happened to the yoke and stuff, but while I haven't pulled out, I also bought, it's down here, it's heavy and it's cumbersome to take out the box. So I've gotten new gears, so I'm gonna keep the gearing top secret. I've told probably enough that it's gonna leak out and it'll probably be all over the internet, but I'm gonna re-gear the differential to get a little bit more advantage with accelerating. That'll be your only hint. So differential is going to get pulled, rebuilt. Drive shaft. So as you guys saw from my videos and from the track video, we damaged the drive shaft. No doubt it's getting sent back to the drive shaft shop. I just have to fill out their RMA form, give them some pictures, show them what's damaged, and mail the drive shaft, ship the drive shaft out to them where it could be repaired. While the drive shaft's pulled out, I'm going to go through the drive shaft tunnel and I'm going to make sure all obstructions or anything that could possibly maybe touch the drive shaft does not. I know the exhaust clears it. We're going to remove all the parking brackets that Ford put in the trans tunnel, and if anything else is in there, it's coming out. So that's the drive shaft. Next, transmission. The transmission has a grind on the 3/4 shift. Seems like it's a worn out synchro. I think it's from just driving, racing, and as well as what I was informed by the guys who are going to be rebuilding my transmission. They told me that the fluid I was using was actually the culprit at helping kind of degrade the friction material in the synchro. So I'm not going to say the company name or things like that because that's drama. I don't care to get stirred up. But for the most part, we're going to get the transmission rebuilt, give it some fresh fluids. It'll be 100%. Next thing, engine's got to come out. Nothing's wrong with it. It just has to get removed because we need to add the power steering. Good friend, Second Shift Racing, gave us this Hydro Boost unit. We're going to install it on the Mustang. Next, so we need to have pedals because we're no longer using the reverse swing mounted pedal assembly. That way, we're going to take the master cylinders, which kind of makes a mess in the driver compartment and the footwell with fluids if they ever spill out everywhere. So we're going to get that from out behind the gauge cluster and under the dash, and we're going to put them back where they probably should have gone in the kind of traditional sense of what you would expect a master cylinder or where it would be, right? The tunnel cover. So you guys in some of the videos can tell, the transmission tunnel covers the transmission. It does it well. However, it's not a permanent installation on it, because when I did it, I was thinking I was giving myself like a big access panel so that if something happened, I could pop the panel off, work on the transmission from the top without dropping it. Well, turns out 7 years, I have never had to do that. Not even for the shifter. I've been able to just handle everything from underneath the car. So we're going to remove the transmission tunnel cover, and I'm going to weld it back on. However, where the shifter is, I will be cutting that back section out so that I have an access panel for whenever I need to install the shift forks, the little linkages and things like that. And so that part can be serviced from the top on the inside of the car, because that doesn't need to be welded on the back. That'll be good. So oh, can't forget this one, because this one is, you know, probably the most vital one, and the one that is in most need of attention is the chassis harness. Not the forward control pack wiring, but the car's wiring harness, the stuff for the gauge cluster, the radio, the lights, things like that. I did buy a harness for a 1965 Mustang from Painless Wiring. Great company, love the wiring harness. I'm buying a new wire harness from them because I sized this one incorrectly. So I bought the one that was meant for a 1965 Mustang, but I needed one that was for a 1965 Mustang that had an alternator that had a higher output than 60 amps or 80 amps of whatever, like the small block Ford or the inline 200 has, because that Coyote alternator is, I think factory stock, if I'm not mistaken, is 170 amps. So I need to order the new chassis harness from Painless Wiring, because I need to get that new one. I called their tech line. They said you probably would be fine just using their universal harness, but make sure to get their high output alternator wiring so that we don't have this problem again, because I definitely do not need this car catching on fire driving down the highway or on the track or anything like that. That cannot happen. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to try and carefully and take my time removing the harness, and I'm going to take some masking tape, put it on every terminal and in connection, right? I'm going to label what it is for and where does it go and what does it connect to. That way, when we get the new harness, it's going to be an easy transition. I can just mock up all the connectors, make the connections out of the car, have it all heat shrinked and everything like that. That way it's a nice, clean, seamless installation. So let's go ahead and get to the fun stuff, right? Let's get to the kind of some of the fun stuff. We're going to talk about the list of parts and things that need to be added to the car. So things that need to be added to the car, of course, is the power brakes. Like I showed you. We're going to be adding Second Shift Racing's Hydro Boost unit. This thing's hardly used. So I got a practically brand new 2004 Terminator Cobra master cylinder unit that's going to be onto the car. We're going to be adding the pedals for that. We're also going to add a clutch pedal, so that it also kind of goes into the engine bay for clutch actuation and whatnot. So I got to add the paddle box. Some firewall reinforcements going to also be added, because that's kind of a little bit chunk of weight to be just kind of hanging off the firewall. So I'm going to try and thicken it a little bit. That way it's not holding on for dear life on 16, 18 gauge sheet metal. Next, chassis harness. Like I said earlier, I think I just need to get a universal harness like was suggested from Painless, their tech guy, and also the high output alternator harness. Duct work for the brakes. So I don't know if you can see it, but way off in the corner, I bought some ducting. I have the duct plates, and the bumper is already pre-made for ducting to be added. So I will be adding brake ducts for the front brakes. The tow strap. So I have a tow strap on the rear of the car. However, if we ever break down, lose power, car doesn't start or something like that, we gotta get towed off, we need to have some sort of ability to tow the car off, and I need to have some sort of tow hook, tow strap that is mounted to the front of the car so it can be dragged off of the track safely. Next, fuel lines. I have -6 fuel lines. They've worked great for me. I've had no problems with them, and but if we were to go E85, I kind of want to have that more supply. So I'm going to upgrade to all -8 sized fuel lines for the supply and return line, and that way I will have plenty of fuel readily available for if we get retuned for E85. Turn this on over because we got upgrades in